Brendan Rodgers and Celtic this season is like watching a couple giving a failed marriage. One last go, claims Kris Boyd. Welcome back to Fog Football. The aftermath of the midweek action is still here. We're going to milk it like a cow. That's the only cow on the farm. And Kris Boyd cannot resist giving digs at Celtic Football Club, can he not?
He cannot, and if we're really going to compare it to a marriage, then it's almost like the first marriage. The divorce ended in a good split with both sides getting a settlement that they wanted. Brendan Rodgers got to go to the Premier League and manage Leicester. Celtic got to continue being dominant and continue winning trophies and go on to win a treble, then a quadruple treble. But I've got a feeling this divorce ain't going to go so well. It could end up with Brendan Rodgers being found out as this non-elite manager, and it could end up with Celtic losing a domestic league title to the Rangers. So yeah, I don't think the split this time around is going to be as good as the split last time around.
No, I'm looking forward to the split later on this season, that's for sure. But Kris Boyd has said to Celtic fans, he's got a confession to make. He said, back in June, I stated Brendan Rodgers was an upgrade on the departing Ange Postecoglou.
Before we continue, I just want to say, Kris Boyd, I think you're talking shite. And I know he's probably going to retract the statement.
That's pretty much what he's done, yeah.
I do not know how anyone at that point could think Brendan Rodgers was better than Ange Postecoglou. I would go as far as saying Ange Postecoglou is one of the best managers I've seen in Scotland in my lifetime. Maybe the best. There's been some good ones, obviously Walter Smith, Dick Advocaat for Rangers. You look at Celtic side, Brendan Rodgers in his first spell was good. Martin O'Neill. I mean, Neil Lennon, I know people don't really like him, but he done a good job. Gordon Strachan, I think, done okay, but for me, I would say Ange Postecoglou has been one of the most impressive. He came in, he inherited a Celtic side that was nothing short of shite, and we all thought at the time, that Rangers would build on that and go on to win like back-to-back trophies, like go on a 3-4 league winning title run.
No, we did. And you know what? I do see similarities in Ange and Clement, because I think Clement's inherited a pretty shit Rangers team and he's taken the fight to a Celtic team that, like Kris Boyd said, a lot of people thought were going to walk the league.
Like, I wouldn't say it's as bad as the Celtic team was, though.
No, it's not.
Look how many players Celtic had leaving when Ange came in. Literally, the majority of the first starting 11 was going.
No, absolutely not. But, I mean, to back up Boyd, what I would say, when Rodgers came in, I wanted Ange going. Ange leaving was good news, but I just didn't think it would be this bad for Rodgers this time around. But Kris Boyd has said, for the first time in a long time, I'll hold my hands up and admit I called it wrong. I was expecting the 16-17 version of Rodgers to return and take Celtic by storm again.
Yeah, well, he's not wrong about any of the penalties or any of the controversial decisions, but he may be wrong about Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers. What I would say is, so, not a lot of people talk about this, but I think there was signs that Brendan Rodgers, in his first spell, towards the end of it, the gap was beginning to close. Celtic weren't... Yeah, he had that really one good season where they went unbeaten, but he also had a season where he only finished like 7-8 points ahead of Aberdeen over the full campaign.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
Of course it's not.
I think some people look back on that Brendan Rodgers first spell and they look back with, I don't know, tinted specs, or they just look back and they think that it was like a fantastic period from start to finish. I don't think it really was.
No, I don't think it's just because
didn't do it.
A lot of it's to do with Rangers being bad, I think.
No, what I would say, you can't take anything away from the guy. He won all 7 trophies that he was competing for. And the likelihood is, if he stayed, he would have made it 9 out of 9. Not denying that. But when you look back at the overall, even the football as well was getting a little bit stale.
Is it any coincidence, though, that he comes back in a much more competitive era, so to speak, and he loses like the first trophy up for grabs?
Yeah, I mean, back when he was in charge, you had Rangers, Hearts and Hibs all in the Championship.
Yep.
And the only real competitors they had were Aberdeen. Now, where Scottish football is a little bit more competitive, and I don't think the gap between the Old Firm and the other teams are as big, we're seeing Rodgers struggle. So, yeah, I don't think you can make a case now. I definitely don't think Rodgers is as good as Ange, and I definitely don't think Rodgers is an elite manager. I don't think you can even call him anywhere close to elite now.
No, he's not.
Am I saying that he sucks? Am I saying that he's a bad manager? No. But I'm sick of hearing that...
Anyone who blows this sort of gap at the top of the league and puts in consistent shite performances without really changing the tactics needs to have a word. I mean, let's bear in mind, he changed it a lot in that Hibs game. I believe he took 4 players out of the team that drew out Aberdeen, so it's not like he didn't change it.
And people can say it worked if they want, but it didn't work. Two penalties.
They were worse than the Aberdeen
two penalties saved them.
Boyd points out they're 9 points and 21 goals worse off than what they were after 25 Premiership games last season. So that is quite a big gap, isn't it? I mean, probably the 21 goals for me is the one that stands out the most.
Yeah, 21 goals.
But a lot of that's down to like Kyogo. I mean, he's just been nowhere near it. To be honest, nowhere near. And then he kind of goes on to talk about the whole failed marriage gimmick that he's went for here, about the Rodgers going back to Celtic one last time with big Dermot Desmond and the Celtic board.
It didn't work for Derek Adams. He went back to Ross County. No. That was a failure. I mean, there has been Walter Smith had 2 spells at Rangers.
Yeah,
I'd say all right. Was the second spell a success? Was it as successful as the first? Probably not, but it wasn't bad. It was still good.
Yeah, but with Rodgers, I think the problem is I think they sold him a dream. I think they said to him, well, you're going to get X, Y, and Z.
The war chest, you're getting this, you're getting that. You're going to have a chance to make a real dent in Europe.
Could it be a case, though, right, that, I mean, they spent a lot of money in the summer, Celtic, not an insane amount, but a decent amount. Could it be a case of they already worked out financially, right, here, we've already won the league. It's the start of October. Rangers are like 1,000,000 points behind. We're not going to spend anything in January, and they already came up with their minds sorted that they weren't going to spend anything.
But they have to change it. Surely, there's a lot has happened from October to January. Surely they must have realised there was a real threat. Look how much money is at stake for winning the Scottish Premiership and getting into the Champions League group stages. I've heard the amount 60 million being floated around. You have, if you think the league's under threat, then you have to spend, and they haven't done it. But you know what? I also think Rangers could have done a bit more.
No, they could have.
Despite spending a lot of money in the summer, I think Rangers must realise that they've got themselves back into a position where they actually can win the league. When it looked like in October they had no chance. So I'm surprised both teams had a lack of activity. Yeah, I mean, did they have a lot of money to spend? Maybe not, but I just expected more. I mean, loan signing is pretty disappointing.
Boyd has come out and said, had Adam Adea not scored the winner, sack the board chance could have become sack the BRODGE.
BRODGE. It's not a bad name for Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers combined. Two names combined. What happened to Brendan Rodgers, the development coach? I'm not too sure, Boyd, but I think he's... You know, you hear of fighters losing a step in the ring. This guy's lost a step in the managerial department.
Yeah, I mean, he has... Leicester, he got them relegated. Celtic, he's lost an 8-point gap to Rangers. It's not doing too good. Look, I mean, can he redeem this?
He just can't get a tune out of Celtic, the team.
Yeah. I mean, look, he could still win the league this season, and who knows, he could do a cup double, and at the end of the season, everyone could be saying how great Brendan Rodgers is. At the moment, though, I just don't see it happening.
Hopefully not, from my point of view. But that's going to do it, guys. Kris Boyd laying the smackdown. You can rely on Big Kris to get stuck in with these comments and disses. But until then, peace.